Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you for tuning in to nightly edition of Path Trading Partners. We're just going to do a quick Ethereum US dollar update, starting out with the longer term charts. Looks like we are forming a massive triangle pattern. So we came up, made a high, then came back, retraced to the lows back in July, came up, made a slightly lower high, then made a higher low back in September, and now it looks like we're in the process of putting in a lower high, and we'll have to see what we do. The key points on this triangle pattern are right around the 200 mark at this point and the 400 mark, 395. It's always helpful to zoom out to see the bigger pictures to get an idea on what could be occurring. You see on the last sell-off, we went to the bottom of the rotation zone, rallied back. Next sell-off came, spiked through the bottom of the rotation zone, but then closed back in it, which is what we talk about. Key close is what we really watch for, and then rallied back up, and now it's pulling back in the rotation zone again. The bottom of the rotation zone, which is very key for us right now, is trading right around this 262 area. So if we fall back down, that's going to be a key level to keep in mind, because if we get below that, we will probably test this rising bottom line for the triangle. Now, there's not a lot of clear patterns yet here. Here's the daily. What's key for us in the daily right now is this low from the 18th. It's a defining point on our trend line. If we do get a close below that, we have the 50% level from this up move starting on the low of the 15th to the high on the October 16th, which is going to be key. If we do get a close below that, we have a significant level and the 50% retracement right around this 275 to 276 level, which then we'll be watching for our next level. And if that is broken, the next level down is the end of the clear path, which lines up at the 62.5% retracement, which is 256, which is slightly below the lower end of that weekly rotation zone. Doesn't mean it can't hit that level and then close back up, but those are the key levels we'll be watching for. Now, Jake asked a question, and I'm sure many of you have it. First question he asked is, when we talk about a reversal pattern, are you talking about something like a double bottom, or do you mean an actual candlestick pattern like an engulfing candlestick or a hammer? I mean a reversal pattern that I will trade off of, Jake. For me, when I say reversal pattern and I'll trade off a double bottom, I will also trade off a divergence pattern. If you know classic divergence patterns, I will trade off of the long-tailed candlestick pattern, and it could be a hammer with then the near the 50% retracement. I start watching for it to drop below the 37.5% retracement of that candle, close to the 50%, and that's entries, especially when it turns back up. Let me give you a clear example. Let's look at the 4-hour just on Ethereum. We spiked down here on the 18th, closed back up, nearly retraced to 50%, and then turned back up. That was a nice little entry pattern. One other thing I'm going to point out to everyone, this is on the 4-hour chart. The rotation zone, which is what we follow, is against it. So any buys here have very conservative targets, meaning we're watching for targets within the rotation zone, not necessarily the whole other side. So on this little run up, the target was this prior breakout zone. Right here, let me highlight it so everybody can see it. So this is a prior breakout zone. See this massive candle going up through it. This next candle coming back down, not quite touching this area of support. Then we dipped down, and then we fell back through it. So that is resistance. So on any buy-in here, which was a reversal pattern, that was the target. You see it got above it, and again, we're not trying to call highs or lows. We're trying to get targets which can be easily hit. It came back down. Now, there's no other pattern we found yet that has triggered another buy. You know, we could easily fall down to this 37.5, this 296 to 300 area, then form another reversal pattern, maybe a double bottom this time, or something else which could be a buy, but then we're going to be watching for targets within the rotation zone again. Once we get back above the rotation zone, then we can go for more aggressive targets. For example, if we then, we have a new defining point here. What is that? Is, give you the exact number, 313. So if we get a close above 313 and the 50 EMA, so right around the 314 level, we're into an advanced clear path. The target for that, the rotation zone, would be out of the way. the target would be about, the first target would be the 320 area. Next major target wouldn't be up till the 335 area. If we start getting these higher highs again and the rotation zone comes back in our favor, then we'll go for the longer targets and we'll be using pullbacks to rotation zones for other buying opportunities. Jake also asks, he knows we don't like the why questions. Why don't we like the why questions? Because whys are generally attributed to after the fact. The only why things I really listen to are things that are going to affect my fundamental analysis of a cryptocurrency. Let's say there's a flaw that comes out in some crypto we follow that we really liked. Let's say it doesn't matter, Ethereum or something, there's a flaw that they discover and they're not going to be able to easily fix it. That could adjust, and I'm talking hypothetically, that could adjust our viewpoint on it, and maybe we're going to go from trading around a core position to unwinding a core position because we're going to shift our focus to other cryptocurrencies. So that could be something that would just affect me in my fundamental bias of wanting to own it long term. Day to day, we don't care about the whys. I've heard people come up with conflicting whys to attribute the same bullish price movement or bearish price movement. I've heard commentators and articles on crypto sites. One attributes it to this, the rally to this. One attributes it to that. One says, the rally. One article that's bullish for it is, another guy says it's bearish for it. One says, it rallied because it wasn't as bad as it thought. One says it sold off because it was worse than it was thought. It's all over the place, and people assign it after the fact. So that's why we don't pay attention to whys. Just as I went through, we pay attention to what are we going to do at key levels. So we identify our key levels or our trade levels, and then we watch for potential setups. As I talked about, the reversal patterns, which means, okay, I get a reversal buy setup. So that's what we mean. And then the only other thing is you're looking, what have you missed? You might not have missed anything with your technical analysis. Sometimes the markets are sloppy. Right now, Ethereum is pretty sloppy. That's why I had to go out to the weekly chart, and I see the big picture where we could pull back to the key levels, and we're going to watch for what to do. There doesn't always have to be an ABC pattern. Corrections don't always have to happen in ABCs. It's nice, and a lot of Elliott wave pattern people would love every correction to happen in ABCs, but they don't always. They can be very sloppy. And that's why we don't necessarily always look for a pattern. If the pattern is there, we then use our technical analysis to help us figure out the key levels. If there's no pattern there on the 4-hour chart or the daily chart, so I'm out at the weekly chart getting my big picture in mind so I can figure out my trading plan and what I'm going to do at the key levels, and then where we're going to watch for the key trades, which is what I sort of just outlined from a macro perspective in this video. So I hope that helps Jake, and I hope that helps anybody else who has similar questions. If you want to get your questions answered, please put comments in, please email us, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. We're just trying to be here to help everybody. We have over 50 years combined trading experience, trading stocks, bonds, foreign exchange, you name it, we've traded it, and now we're applying it to a lot of these cryptos to try to help some of the newer and people who are really trying to learn key technical analysis and different ways to trade these crypto coins, develop good habits, develop good strategies, and really ask the what questions, what am I going to do where, instead of focusing on the whys and learning things that we're teaching. Hope that helps everyone. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We will do some more crypto updates over the weekend for what we see, any interesting unfolding patterns. And we will talk to everyone again soon. Bye for now.